Hello, Dream Team. Welcome back to our podcast.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, beautiful people, Dream Team? Welcome to another exciting podcast of Here's a Thought with the Max. My name is Lerato Macheta.
And I'm Petola Macheta.
They were so beautiful, as I always say. Yes, we are back in the studio. You know what it is. You know when we're sitting here. Yeah. You know what it is, guys. When we're sitting here, you know, we're about to get into some deep conversation. It's about to get real, but welcome. If you haven't done so yet, guys, please remember to like the video. Like the video so that it helps the algorithm. Yes. The more you like the video, the more people it's going to reach.
Yes.
Subscribe, because we've got more people viewing our videos than that are subscribed.
Yeah.
For example, you'll have 80,000 people viewing a video and we've got 66,000 subscribers. Guys, do better. Comment, because we want to hear your thoughts. Matter of fact, right now, comment present. You know why? Because you guys are the gift that keeps on giving. See what I did there?
Yes,
love it. All right. So like, subscribe, comment, share the video, guys. WhatsApp. Guys, just click that share button, say, Chomi, you gotta check this out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Subscribe and turn on that notification bell to know every single time we upload a new installment.
Hey, that was a mouthful, man.
Hey, man, you guys are making me work here. I'm working.
So, babe, while you're working, what are we talking about today?
Sure, guys. It was really strange because we actually meant to have this conversation quite a while ago. I don't remember why we didn't end up having it. Do you remember?
I was not in the mood.
Okay, my wife wasn't in the mood.
I was like, no, it's such a heavy conversation.
Not fun,
no,
you know.
No.
And then today, she was listening to one of her favorite speakers yesterday, Stephanie Ike, and she was talking about submission. And then she went, "Yo, we should talk about that." And I said,
"Yeah."
From your lips to my technical fingers to just make it happen.
I think also the reason I wanted to speak about it, I know that submission is one of those, not taboo, but one of those contentious conversations.
Yeah.
Especially for modern women. What does submission look like? What does it mean?
Yeah.
How should I submit? There are all these questions, right?
Yeah, definitely. The room is divided.
The room is divided, but I've never really given submission much thought because I didn't really
because you're a modern woman.
Not really, because I think because when we got married, right, my thinking was that, yes, I know that wives are ought to submit to their husband as to the Lord. But for me, my thinking was that we're in a partnership. And it was always the partnership narrative that I was pushing, right? And
no, it's cool. No, I wanted you to unpack more. So I wanted to ask you a question that was going to make you,
Yes. And when I heard Stephanie speak about how submission is linked to trust, right? I realized that I'm not a submissive wife because my husband and I have been having conversations where he was like, "But babe, you don't trust me." And I think just to unpack, trust is so broad, right? Trust doesn't have to do with, because when we think about trust, we think about, shady lurker, whatever, you don't trust me because you think I'm doing 1, 2, 3. But no, trust is broad. Trust can be, you don't trust your partner to provide. You don't trust your partner to protect. You don't trust your partner to communicate. You don't trust your partner to, there's a long list of why people have trust issues in their relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, gosh, now there are two things that I wanted. Now there was one thing, but now there are two things I wanted to ask. So when you say that you always believed in partnership, did you equate that to not being submissive? Does that make sense? So in the beginning,
about it.
Okay.
I didn't even think about it. I was just like, I've never really sat down and given, and I think also because you are a modern man, I know that you are very, you're very intense about respect. And I remember in the beginning of our relationship, I just didn't understand. Sometimes Lerato would feel like I don't respect him. And I would feel like, but no, for me, disrespect doesn't look like me disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
And you would feel like me disagreeing with you means that I'm disrespecting you, which means that you possibly felt like I was not being submissive.
Yeah.
Right?
And I've never, so number one, I've never used the word
yes.
you're not being submissive.
This is the first time we're actually having this and it came from me because I said, when she said that submissive is linked to trust and we were having the trust conversation, I was like,
yeah. The second part is this, which I think we'll get into in this conversation. The second part is I made allowance for the idea that this was part and parcel of your personality.
Yes.
What do I mean?
Correct.
What I mean by that is, in jest, what my wife would always do was I'd be like, the sky is blue. And she'd be like, no, it's not. It's purple. Right? I would say, yeah, we were standing there at about 3:30. No, it wasn't 3:30. It was 3. Right? So this was like a very, and I remember when we were dating, this used to irk me because I was like, why are you always so I'm trying to bring context to disagreeing, because my wife always has agency to disagree with me. I'm talking about a personality, just like useless things that don't mean anything.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you find that I only disagree with you or it's my general personality?
No, with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
Okay. That needs counseling, guys.
So
why am I disagreeing with my husband?
But I can't be objective.
Okay.
Because I take it personally when it comes my way. So if you're doing it to other people, maybe I'm submitting to the idea that maybe I'm not paying as much attention to that.
Okay.
So do I ever sit and feel like, oh no, you don't agree with me, but you always agree with that person? No, I don't.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like that. But I only have my lived experience as a board, as a sounding board, so I wouldn't say.
I think for me personally, when I look at myself and I take a deep look at my personality, I think I've always grown up with that thing that says, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Right?
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Just growing up, I was just always that person that was just a doer, and I did things. And even when we met, I was just very independent. I was living by myself. I was a doer, right? And I was actually thinking about this, baby, because it's been irking me, like, since you've said, babe, you don't trust me to make certain decisions. You don't trust me. And I'm monate, like, I don't like the fact that you feel like I don't trust you, right? So when we got married, I got married solely for love. I did not look to my husband for a lot of things. I never thought about the protection aspect. I never thought about the provision aspect. I never thought about, it was just love. And it was just like, we'll figure it out. Okay. I feel. So I feel like in that sense, it was just a case of, no, you do, I do, we do together. We partner together. So I never gave a lot of thought into the leadership aspect of our relationship and what leadership ought to look like.
I'd like you to take a step back and maybe rethink what you just said, because it's very contrary to a lot of things that you've said on this platform.
Okay.
So you had a lot of expectations.
Okay.
As a matter of fact.
Okay.
As you've often said on this platform, to say that, no, I had expectations coming into marriage that when it comes to a man, indoda must. Now, not but hear me out. Not in the corrupted way, right? That society has now been like indoda must. Okay. What I'm talking about is you and I have gone back and spoken about how we've taken the fairy tale idea.
Okay.
And how women want to be swept off of their feet. They want to be taken care of. They want to be catered for. And you said on this platform that you also had the same expectation, even though sometimes it may have been unbeknownst to you.
Okay.
Now, I'll admit that maybe so much time has passed that maybe you don't remember. But I think maybe think back a little bit further.
I can answer that. I can answer that, and not maybe in a way I'm contradicting myself, but in a sense that, like I said, I had uncommunicated expectations because I didn't know that maybe those are my expectations, right? Because when I got into marriage, I was like, oh, I love this guy. Let's get married. We didn't have a plan. Even though we went for premarital counseling, it wasn't, for me, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't a case of indodamazed. I never had that approach coming into marriage. But I think subconsciously, there were certain desires and expectations that I thought would be met, and they were never met. And I think also...
Never?
Sometimes.
Jeez.
Sometimes... No, but baby, in the beginning of our marriage, like we spoke about,
but
unmet.
never.
Sometimes not met. We were taught to never use the word never and always.
And always, yeah.
Sometimes not met. So I think potentially the trust issue comes from those unmet expectations.
Right.
Actually, no, not
Right.
potentially.
Right.
So I think then I got back into my default setting that if you want something done right, do it yourself.
Yeah. Eventually. So what happened was you did have these expectations.
Unbeknownst to me.
Right.
Yes. Subconsciously.
Those expectations weren't met.
Yes.
And then you said, okay, if I'm going to get anything done, I'm going to do it myself.
Yes.
All right. Now let's get back on course.
Okay.
Now that you've
unpacked.
Right.
Okay,
now that you've unpacked that part.
Yeah.
Now, submission. What is it?
I found the most amazing explanation by John Piper about submission. Because I love what it says here. It says, headship, no, not this one. Not this one. It says, submission is the divine calling of a wife to honor and affirm her husband's leadership and help carry through according to her gifts.
Say it again.
I love it. Submission is the divine calling of a wife to honor and affirm her husband's leadership and help carry it through according to her gifts. And what I love what John Piper is saying is that I feel like he's likening it to how Jesus was submissive to God, right? Because Jesus was submissive to God's leadership, and his mandate was to carry it out on earth.
So,
do you know what I mean?
So should wives submit to their husbands the way Jesus submitted to God? Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
Okay.
And I think also if you struggle to submit to God, you're going to struggle to submit to your husband. And we spoke about this, right? And you said to me...
Unfortunately, guys, we had such a fire conversation. We had such a fire conversation this afternoon
and I kept
about
saying, no,
this.
let's not talk about it because we're going to talk about it.
And then you'd put something else on the table and I would be like, well,
So I feel like with a lot of us as women potentially, and as people, like you also have struggles with trusting God for certain things. So it's not a woman thing or a man thing. It's a human thing where sometimes we don't trust God to come through for us in certain areas of our lives, right? Because it's a faith journey and it's an everyday journey. And even in our marriage, I feel like there are other aspects of our marriage where I trust you completely. And there are certain aspects where I feel like the trust could have been eroded because certain expectations were not met.
Yeah.
You know? And we also spoke about small things, you know, and I said to Laratas, like, sometimes the trust issue comes when a man doesn't live up to his word. Just small things. Change the light bulb. Small things. Call the plumber. You haven't called the plumber in 6 months. You haven't changed the light bulb in 6 months. And we laugh about those things. We're like, my husband won't change the light bulb. And women laugh about it. But we don't realize that it is chipping away at the trust that we have in our husbands to do what they said that they're going to do.
Should men expect submission from their wives?
I think submission is a hard issue. There shouldn't be an expectation, but a desire.
So
I think
so
husbands should desire it because I shouldn't have an because I have an expectation that you should love me.
Yes.
Okay, then maybe husbands should have an expectation for women to submit.
Okay.
But we were talking also, and I remember we were talking about how a man must submit to God and for a woman to submit to him. But also, right? And I said, I was like, but the Bible doesn't start with saying man submit to God in order for women to submit. And you said, yeah, but even though it's not saying it in sequence, it is expected of us. So I guess there should be an expectation.
Yeah. So let's camp on that point really quickly, right? For me, I feel like it makes it easier for a woman to submit to her husband when he is submitted to God.
Yes.
But it is not a condition that she should submit to her husband only if he submitted to God.
Okay.
Because it is a law.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I encourage men then all of us, as a matter of fact, that we should be submitted to God. But to the women, even when your husband is not submitted to God, there still is a duty to submit to him and give him to God.
And I think, baby, what I love about what John Piper is saying is that the fact that he is putting it on leadership, I can roll with that, right? Can I tell you why? You know why I can roll with that? Because I think sometimes in the modern world, we sort of construe submission to, yeah, boy, I have no voice, or I'm sorry I said yeah, boy, but I don't know what picture I have in my mind, but or you ought to do this for me every day. That's what I'm saying. There should be an expectation, but what does that expectation look like? I ought to not do anything. That's what I'm saying, that it's a hard issue.
Hard or hot?
Hot.
Okay.
Because submission is also, I also feel like it's also about service, right? Accountability, right? I should want to do those things from my husband.
Yeah.
It should not be demanded of me to say, you are going to do this for me every day. You are going to do this for me. You are going to, because then that's where we talk about obeying. There's a difference between submission and obey.
A slave
right?
obeys.
A slave obeys, right? So I really feel like we should be clear about what submission in the biblical context means, right? Yeah. Because it also doesn't mean that you don't have a voice, that you are a doormat. And I think that's why for me, baby, when the Holy Spirit revealed to me that I'm not the most submissive wife, I had to take a deep look at myself to say, I guess I am argumentative, sometimes, right? And we also take that as that, oh no, I'm highly opinionated, right? And you find it difficult sometimes to agree with your husband because you have an opinion. So how do we find a healthy balance between, because I don't think partnership and submission are mutually exclusive. How do we find a healthy...
So I think part of finding the balance is in looking at the first relationship between Adam and Eve and understanding that when God looked at Adam after he had created all he had created, he said, it's not good for a man to be alone and let me create for him a helpmate, right? Which is kind of what I was speaking to you about earlier on, right? I hate that we had this conversation earlier on. So when we can bring it into context and understand that my wife is here as a helpmate, but even her being a helpmate can't only be in the context of my understanding of what a helpmate is. What do I mean by that? My wife pushing back, my wife disagreeing with me could be helping me as well.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is I may not, I believe that for men, marriage is for the purpose of developing them to become the greatest leaders they can possibly become. And your spouse is there to provoke certain things within you that is going to help you reach your potential, right? If as a leader, in order for you to fulfill your purpose, what you need to do is to grow in patience. The first person that's going to be testing your patience is your wife, right?
True.
Is your spouse. So that's just what I believe. But then when it comes to submission, I think everybody, both parties, man and woman, have got a responsibility to submit to the institution of a wife being submissive, and both have to submit to the institution of the man being a leader. Because I have as much a responsibility to lead my wife with clear vision as she does to follow me as I follow Christ, right? So submit to me as I submit to God. You know what I mean? So everybody has to come to the table and play their part.
And I think, baby, I asked you this question and I said, do you think then it is as a lack of leadership from your side? Do you feel like you have been a great leader throughout our marriage?
And my answer to her was, I'm the best leader today than I have been throughout our relationship. Have I been a good leader throughout our relationship? No, I haven't. Am I the best version of myself, of the leader in me today? Yes, I am.
Yeah. So then...
Wait, what do you think?
No, I think you are.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've said it on this platform, so many times. I feel like you have grown into... Shilahakwe, what are you doing? Can we resume?
Yeah.
Okay, we're resuming. We had to pause because Hakwe had to come fetch something, and my husband just called me a bully.
My wife's a bully.
Wow.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why quickly.
What?
Let me tell you, guys, let me tell you about this thing that I'm talking about. You guys remember when I told you that I said it's not her responsibility to make her happy?
Yes.
And then Will Smith said it and she went, right? I've been saying to my wife, I've been like, baby, you don't trust me. Stephanie Ike said, submission, trust.
Yeah,
and she went,
Mara, baby, I said to you today, I said, I didn't think that.
You didn't tie them together.
Yes, I
Right.
accepted what you were saying. And I answered I was like, oh man, I mean, I want to trust my husband wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Right? Because you did express, you said, but because if you don't trust me to lead you, then what is the point of all of this?
Yeah.
Right? And I felt it and it stung and I didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't tie it to submission. And
Fair.
I even said to you that for me, because my one of my greatest desires is to be obedient to God.
Sure.
Right? And submission is required of me from God.
Yeah.
Which means that it's something that I will now look at.
Sure.
So I believe that it was Holy Spirit revealed to me for me to look at it this way. Because there's no way I could have tied it to submission in a million years.
Yeah.
And it also brings me to the conversation that I've been having with myself lately about surrendering to God, right? Because when you look at submission, it is also a form of surrender, right? So for me, if I can't totally surrender to God and trust God, how can I fully submit to God? And if I can't submit to God, how can I fully submit to you?
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, for me, sorry, I was just thinking about it now while you were speaking, and I was like, my greatest desire is that it is a pleasure for you
Yes.
to submit.
Yeah.
Right? And I've never demanded it, I don't think.
No.
Right.
Never.
So I've never demanded
You've
it,
obviously
right?
desired it.
And
Yeah.
but because the word submission is so problematic, I've always desired that you trusted me. That's what it is. I've always been like, just trust me. You know what I'm saying? In the little things,
Yeah.
in the big things, in the medium things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that does not mean don't question me. I'm not saying that at all. You know, guys, there's, you know how I always speak about peace, right?
Yeah.
When you trust somebody, even when you question something, there is a manner in which you question it. So I was watching The Chosen, which is a series on the story of Jesus and the disciples. And here was such a beautiful picture of disciples who were following Jesus, and they, were mesmerized by him, obviously. You know, he was like doing all these miracles and they were just like, this guy, right?
Yeah.
And when Jesus said, guys, we're going there, don't take anything. Don't take money, don't take shelter. And they were like, now they questioned, right? There was a sense of, but how are we going to, what? And they asked the questions, right? So by all means, ask me. But you must understand that when I'm moving on vision, because, you know, God said he will give young men visions, right?
Yeah.
When I have a vision for something, I have a vision for my family, I have a vision for the future, I have a vision for, right, which God has bestowed on me, I then become accountable for the fulfillment of that vision. So me saying, okay, babe, this is the way we're going. I've moved to a place where now I've worked out like how to approach it. You know what I mean? Like plant a little seed here, let it grow. 2 weeks later, you know, drop another hint so that I make her ready to receive, you know, this picture that I'm trying to put on the table. But I've had to learn that, and this is good for me and my leadership skills. Right? Because with people, you can't just go to people and say, yo, we're doing this, let's go. It doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's also when that person then questions it, it's also helpful when they're like, can you help me out? I'm battling a little bit with this. And let's talk about it.
So I think, baby, as we're having this conversation, then it brings me to this idea then that
why do you look sad?
I look sad. No, I think I'm tired.
Okay.
Do I look sad? Really? Guys, do I look sad?
I know. I think I'm looking into her eyes.
I've got a sadness in my eyes. You know, guys, I had a rough week last week. I was go-wishing.
Sorry, my
go-wishing. But anyway, we all go-wisher in life. What
now
was
I
I
made
saying?
you lose your train of thought.
You know, what was I saying?
I don't know.
No, yes. So it brings me to this idea that then we shouldn't. I can't believe you said I look sad.
You look so sad.
Submission is making me sad. Now I must submit to this guy. I must trust
this one.
I must trust this one's leadership.
This one will
let you down.
This one will lead us to Msawawa. Do you know Msawawa? Msawawa this one will lead us to Msawawa, this one. And call it an adventure. No, babe, it's an adventure.
Oh my goodness.
You made such a brilliant so I want to so when we were talking about this afternoon,
and I was making a point, but it's fine.
Go ahead.
Make
Go
this
ahead.
point.
Go ahead.
I won't forget.
No, I was gonna take you somewhere else.
Oh, so, okay. You'll segue later.
Yeah.
So, squirrel rather. So I wanted to say that maybe then when it comes to the conversation of submission, maybe let's give each other grace as couples, like in all areas of our relationship,
In
right?
leadership and submission.
right? Because also in leadership,
Give each other grace.
our leaders are required to lay their lives down for us, which they don't always
Yes.
get right?
Yes.
They are mandated to love us as Christ loved the church. I mean, that is a tough mandate.
Right.
I don't even think that.
So I need to take a bullet for you. The other day, my wife said, I don't think I would take a bullet for you. And I was like, yeah, I would.
Guys, I'm not taking a bullet for anyone.
But that's the thing.
I'm not.
And that's guys, isn't God so beautiful?
God.
Isn't God so beautiful?
Yeah,
because this is inbuilt in a man.
Yeah.
That he's like, yeah, I'll die for you. Like, it's just, he's like, yeah, I'll take that bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And a woman is like, why? Why are we, where are we riding to and why are we dying? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, but that's the way it's supposed to be. That
Yes.
balance.
So I think, babe, like what you were saying also about the questioning thing, right? Because sometimes questioning could look like a lack of trust, right? Because we also question God.
Yeah.
Right? We said, Lord, use me.
Yeah, but we also don't, but when we question God, let's be real, because we don't trust him in that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we shouldn't take it personal.
Oh,
right?
no.
And we shouldn't take it personal and give each other grace. Right? Because it's a journey. There will be moments where, baby, like the disciples were walking with Christ. And when there was turbulence at sea, they were screaming. They were like, why are you sleeping, dude? They witnessed these miracles, right? We have to walk by faith. Yes, we're witnessing these miracles, but we still have that thing, oh, God, sometimes, do you hear me sometimes? You know, sometimes because when things are not happening, when they should be happening, our faith takes a knock. So I also think that even as humans, let's give each other grace because our trust in our partners also takes a knock because of unmet expectations.
Right.
So I feel like if we looked at it in that sense, we would not feel like you think hore ke motho a modimo.
But sometimes you do.
No, not all the time.
No, not all the time.
No, but
this is the
I
point.
think sometimes I do, maybe when things just don't happen. And I'm like, but babe, you know? And I remember a few months ago, I had a conversation with my husband about a project that he was working on. And I thought it was a brilliant project. And he abandoned it midway, right? And you actually never told me why you abandoned it anyway. We never had that conversation. And for me, I felt like, dude, follow through. Right? And sometimes when our partners can't follow through for themselves, it becomes very difficult to believe that they can follow through for us.
Fair.
Do you see what I mean?
Fair.
So this thing, we can't look at it in isolation.
You know, so
the issue of submission.
Oh, you see.
Yeah.
You see, this is so layered. When you don't trust me, I don't trust that what I have to say about a specific thing is going to land with you as me. This is my truth. This is my vulnerability. This is my nakedness. Because I now don't trust you with my truth.
That's fair.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so there's also that now everybody loses, right? Because coming into the conversation, when you're asking me about it, you're not asking me because you are waiting for something to hold on to.
Okay.
You're waiting for something to criticize, right? And that is said, I'm not drawing that from how you're asking the question right now. I'm drawing that from everything else that you've said outside of this conversation. So coming into this conversation, I already know that you don't trust me.
That's fair.
Right?
Okay.
So that's the thing. And then what then happens, rightly so, is then you're like, oh no, but I can't trust you because you can't pull through for yourself, not knowing that, no, I've not let you in.
Because you don't trust me with your vulnerability.
With my truth and my vulnerability, because I know that you don't trust me. Does it make sense? So anything that I say to you right now, I'm lying. I'm making an excuse. I'm deflecting. I'm this, I'm that. And while that may be true, do I then continue to trust you to counsel me in love? Or are you then going to be like,
we have vilapa.
do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a very layered thing. And I was speaking to my best friend. I was speaking to him about this recently, but anyway, that's another story for another day. At the end of the day, I want to go back to what you said earlier on, which I absolutely agree with. Yes, we should give each other grace. But let's also understand that this is not within our power. What do I mean by that? When it comes to following God's standard, it goes against the flesh so much, it's nearly impossible to do it without Him.
Yes.
And one of the questions that you asked me earlier on,
that's good.
One of the questions that you asked me earlier on when we had this conversation was, but how do I get to a place where I trust you? And I said, don't trust me.
Trust God.
Trust God.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to put your faith and your hope in me, I'm going to disappoint you. Because your expectation is beyond anything that I, in my own flesh, will be able to meet. But God will never let you down.
And that's why I said don't take it personal, because I'm very honest about my walk with Christ, right? My faith journey. And sometimes I have low levels of faith. So that's why I'm saying that don't take it personal, because sometimes, because
let me just tell you why quickly I disagree with this.
Because you said if you don't trust God, right? Completely, how are you going to trust me? So then it's an issue.
No, that's not what I said. I said don't trust me, trust God.
Yes, but it means
that's very different. I said don't trust me, trust God.
No. But you were taking it personal that I don't trust you.
Let me tell you why I take it personally. Here are the Israelites.
Okay.
They're in the desert. I love the story. You know this.
Yes.
They're in the desert, right?
Yeah.
They are these guys are getting manna from heaven. What do? They complain.
Yes.
They moan. They don't trust God. That grieved him.
Okay. But you did not take it personal that I didn't trust God. You were taking it personally that I don't trust you.
No. Wait, say that again?
When we had this conversation,
yeah,
and where I came out of the conversation feeling not nice,
yeah,
it wasn't baby. I feel like you don't trust God. It was baby. I feel like you don't trust me to make certain decisions.
Yes.
So it was personal to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Just like us being children of God, God takes it personally when we don't trust Him. Now, I'm saying to you that trust God, because when you trust God, you're able to submit to me. Without trusting God, then there's nothing for me to take personally. Right? Because then how you respond to me is that of a woman that trusts God and therefore is able to submit to me. Then there's nothing to take personally. But I will take it personally if you're not trusting God, because for as long as you're not trusting Him, you're not trusting me, right?
But baby, that's an unfair requirement and prerequisite, because in our faith journey, we go through moments where our faith is tested. Even pastors, even bishops and apostles and whatever office you hold, sometimes there will be a time when someone's faith is tested. So I feel like it's an unfair judgment to say no, then, because you also have moments when you don't trust God.
You're
completely.
Right. And I'm saying that that I think that hurts His feelings.
I know that it does.
Right. So.
And I don't do it because I
So-
just want to hurt God's feelings.
I know that.
But it's because it's a test.
Right.
Yes.
So let me also take it personally. Don't
Why
say.
are you
don't,
taking it
So I'm
personal?
saying, don't then say to me, look, if you're saying that you're allowed to not trust me at times,
Okay.
I'm saying then I'm allowed to take that personally at times. That's
Okay.
all. Akiro, you said we must give each other grace. So give me grace. I'm giving you the grace to not trust me sometimes. Give me the grace to take it personally sometimes.
But baby,
give me grace for it to hurt my feelings sometimes.
And I'm okay with that, right?
Okay.
But you were saying, guys, I feel like I don't know where this conversation is going. Because my love, you said, don't trust me, trust God.
Yes.
But you're taking it personally that I don't trust you.
Yes. Because you have to trust God. Here's the first point of contact.
Yes.
There's no way you're going to trust me if you don't trust God. But I want you to trust me.
But I'm saying, okay.
No, hear me out.
Okay, when
This
we
is what
look,
I'm
when we
saying.
look at a piece of the pie,
This-
baby, I trust God, right? But there are times when my faith is tested. Even with you, give me the grace that sometimes I will feel like you could potentially let me down.
Baby, when...
And it's not personal.
Okay. That's where we're disagreeing. Anyway, that's...
Okay, don't take it personal.
Yes, but
take
it's personal.
Take it.
No, it is personal. You're saying don't take it personally, even though it is personal.
So I'm saying, my love, listen. I'm saying, take it as it's part of it.
No, Donna.
Yes.
No.
As part of the journey.
No.
We are journeying. We're journeying.
Baby,
And I feel like, baby,
Let
listen.
me tell you why this is problematic. Babe.
Why?
Let me tell you why it's problematic. Because we have to be allowed to have expectations of one another. I asked you earlier on, I said, is it okay for a man to expect submission from his wife?
And I said no, and then I said yes.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
you said yes.
Yes.
So I still have that expectation that you will trust me. And when that expectation is not met, I will feel some type of way about it. But I'm also saying on the other side that there's no way that that expectation will ever be met if you don't trust God to help you to submit within this relationship. Because when it comes to anything that has got to do with following God, you can't follow God without God. And submitting to me is following God.
And I think, baby, that's why I feel like, that's why I spoke about the issue of surrender. And I think,
Yes.
And I think that's why I'm like, let's give each other grace, because I know that a lot of people struggle with surrendering, because we can, I don't know, let me not speak for other people. For me, I find that it's easier to surrender certain parts of my life to God than others. We struggle with different things. Some people struggle with, surrendering their careers to God, surrendering their finances, surrendering, their partners. There's people that are dating the wrong people, and God is just like, give this relationship up, and it's difficult to surrender that, right? And we work continuously daily to build our to build our faith, right? And this is why we spend time in the Word. That's why we spend time in worship. That's why we spend time in God. And all I'm saying is that let's give each other grace.
Let's give each other grace.
We will falter.
Yes, let's give each
Do you know
other
what I
grace.
mean?
Let's just clear up where I often say this. I often say this to my wife. And it's happening again, right? I often say to you, we are agreeing.
By and large.
By and large,
Okay.
we are agreeing. The point that you're hanging on is this grace part.
Yes.
So let me make it practical for you, just so that you understand what I'm saying. At what point have I made you feel like you are not submissive?
No, you've never made me feel like that.
Wait, I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
That's grace. That's the grace that you're talking about. I've never...
Did you just slap my thigh?
I'm making a point.
What was that?
Making a point. Right? That's, babe,
Yeah.
that's grace.
Okay.
That's where the grace is. You're telling me, don't feel that way. I'm saying, no, I feel the way that I feel.
Okay,
But
that's fair.
I
That's
offer
fair.
you grace by not making you feel like, how dare you?
That's fair, my love. I think.
So we're saying the same thing.
I think maybe I was in my feelings because I didn't like that it made you feel a certain way. The same way I don't like the idea. I don't like knowing that I grieve God sometimes.
Right.
I don't like it. You know, I mean, I'm not sitting here thinking, yeah, good old ones, I'm going to grieve you. Do you see what I mean? So maybe for me, the grace part, I felt like with giving your partner grace, you wouldn't take it too personal. I don't know if I'm making sense. The grace to say, I understand what is going on. Am I making sense? To say, okay, my wife is not trusting me with this decision right now, but I understand. I'm not going to take it personal.
And this
I
is
don't
what
know
I
if-
said
if
to you.
it's a
It's
fair-
making sense. It's making
Yeah.
sense. And let me tell you how I've done that. I've looked in the mirror
Yeah.
and I've said, Lerato, this is for your good.
Yes.
This is for your growth. It's for your leadership. That's how I've done what you are saying. And growth
Yeah.
is painful sometimes. And that's okay. Growth is uncomfortable sometimes.
All the time.
Growth is assaulting to your senses, to the most sensitive parts of you.
Yeah.
And you deal with that. And I go away and I deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair, my love. I think maybe bringing it to the not taking it personal thing, I also shouldn't take it personal.
You must
Right?
practice what you preach.
Yes.
What you are preaching.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. And I mean, in our relationship, without laboring this conversation, it had to come to a point where God revealed it to me.
Sure.
Right? It didn't matter how many times you said you didn't trust me. For me, it was just a case of, hey, okay, re tla ira bjang? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's not nice, but I don't even know what we're dealing with here, right? But because sometimes you just used to doing things how you see fit, right? And maybe thinking that your way is the right way. I've sometimes questioned that when you say, babe, let's buy this property. And I'm like, I'm not sure about that area, right? I need to trust your vision, that God has put that vision in you, and trust that God will honor you in making that decision. And that's why it goes back to me trusting God, right? Trusting that, you know, because we've spoken about, and you know, as couples, we share dreams, we share aspirations, and sometimes you see your partner's triumphs and failures, right? And maybe sometimes we base our trust on our partner's failures, where we think, okay, but where are you leading me to? Is it going to work? Because I've seen you fail.
Right. And so
Yeah.
to bring this thing full circle, I want to go back to, as my last point,
Yeah.
I want to go back to where you started. I do believe that marriage is a partnership. The problem is that we get so stuck in undefined roles, or redefined roles rather, as a result of society. And if we go back, this is what I was saying earlier on, that when God created Eve, He created Eve as a helpmate, as a helper.
Yeah.
And he gave Adam vision. All right? When you are in relationship, I don't know if I explained this to my wife. I wish I explained it better because I felt like maybe she wasn't really getting what I was saying. So when you are in relationship, you are now taking things personally like, but isn't it obvious? Like, why doesn't he do this? No, but that's what you are there for. You are there to enlighten him. You are there to give him wisdom. You're there to give him direction. You are there to, when God gives him the vision and he gives you that seed, you're then supposed to incubate that seed and you're supposed to grow that seed and you're supposed to help him.
Yeah.
Grow it and bring it to life and birth it until it's an alive thing. So now, unfortunately, what you're doing, ladies, is you're saying, well, let him figure it out. Well, he's the head of the home, right? He's the man of the house, right? Let him figure it out. No, don't do that. Because God has given you revelation as well to say, oh, cool. What he's done is he's taken this vision, he's written it on a tablet, and he's made it plain so that you may run when you see it. So when you see it, there are some blind spots. This is the thing about visionaries. Bigger picture, right? Don't pay so much attention to detail. Tell me I'm lying. Fight me. Men don't pay attention to detail like women do. This is a superpower, but you're using it to fight him. Don't fight him. Help him. And once you've helped him, don't be like, oh yeah, you could have never done this without me and ridicule him. No, you guys are partners. You're a team. This thing is supposed to work like this. There can never be two masters in one home, right? There's a master and then everybody, but this master needs helpmates. It needs people that are going to grab onto the vision, hold on to it, run with it, support him, da. Last point, baby. You are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So you and listen.
With the sadness in my
No, for
eyes.
real. Like you're amazing. You always have been amazing. I have always, every single day, I cannot fault you on doing the best you know how with the knowledge that you have. You never betray yourself. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You never betray what you know to be true. You never betray your convictions. I'm grateful, yes, every now and then, as I am for myself, when you like get a spark and I'm like, oh, this is what I've been trying to say, right? But this is the beautiful thing about God. It's like on his time. But that has also helped me as a leader to be patient, watch, strategize, try to lather you up. Hey, babe, come slowly. Don't be a dictator. All of those things were good for me.
I think as my parting point, baby, is not even in defense of ladies. But ladies, your problem is. So I think...
I said what I said.
No, I think, the thing is, baby, in defense of, just speaking on behalf of women, I think as couples, we need to come to a point where we sort of try to understand where things were corrupted in this imbalance of the non-submission and the ill trust, right? At what point were things corrupted? Because I remember you said to me in one of our installments, you said, when women don't submit, right, men need to question their leadership. You once said it in one of the installments.
Did I not say it here?
No, not today.
Well, I said I think I question my leadership.
Yes, but I think you've said it before, right? And I think also it needs to be a case of at what point did I fail in leadership? Because I think it's a case of both partners taking responsibility. Because I'm here on this platform taking responsibility for not being submissive. Because it was revealed to me that my trust issue is a submission issue. And I think for me, because it is my desire to honor God, I have an issue with being a wife that does not submit to her husband. And it's something that I will definitely take back to God and ask the Holy Spirit to help me with. Because for me, I didn't see it as that. I just thought, okay, no, baby's not gonna do that. Let me do it, right? Baby is not gonna. I know we've spoken about this. Lerato's not gonna do this. I'm just gonna do it myself. I'll just call those people. I'll just do that, right? So I think we also have to be honest with ourselves. And I asked you this question, right? And I was like, babe, with the submission issue, where do we think that things were corrupted? Not just in our household, but in society. Because I would like to think that we're not the only ones who are having this issue.
Right. And by the way, we not only have a submission issue, we have a leadership issue.
Yes.
And I too then would also like to come onto this platform and say, I haven't been the most amazing leader to my wife. I haven't gotten it right all the time. And because of that knowledge, that's where that grace comes in, right? Because of that knowledge, I can't point a finger and say, yeah, but you're not submitting to me. Yeah, but because she can turn around and say, yeah, but you're not leading me. Then I can go and say, yeah, but when I tried to lead you, you got a mouth. And then she's like, yeah, well, I got a mouth. You see, because then it just becomes a mess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and also I wasn't done with my point. Ne?
No, go ahead.
Because so I was saying in defense of the ladies, I think I made one point, and another point is, how, and I thought that was the most profound things that you said when you said, I want to do everything for a woman who can
do anything
for herself. And I think women are also in a position where they're doing everything for themselves, right? Women can do anything for themselves, and it becomes a bit difficult when they get in relationships or in marriage, and there's that expectation to know how to submit, because men don't always know how to lead. The same way women can't automatically know that I'm used to doing everything for myself. I'm used to thinking for myself about what I'm going to eat, where I'm going to live, what I'm going to invest in. And now I must completely just trust my husband to advise or to lead, to say, baby, right, we're going to invest in this. We're going to live here. We're going to do this. And I think that's where the grace part comes. And I guess the partnership thing comes, right? And the trust thing comes. So, third point in defense of ladies, I've said to before, baby, I don't think women are sitting and thinking, you figure it out. Sometimes women feel like their partners don't listen to them, which is where we also have to take stock of where did things get corrupted? Because you said to me
How did I answer that earlier on?
No, that's what I'm saying to you. That you said to me that when you would listen more if you felt like I trusted you more. So it's that thing, right? The submission, what came first, the chicken or the egg type of vibe, right? When did a partner stop listening? And when did a partner lose trust? So we need to really look back and think.
That's good.
Do you see what I mean? Look back and think about where did things get corrupted and go to the root of it and work together on making it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say something else, but yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right.
So,
and yeah, that thing of it's true. Guys, we all just need to humble ourselves here. We all just need to humble ourselves, because as men, we failed to be good leaders. Let me not speak for women. As men,
for women, we failed to submit. I'll speak for myself. As a woman, I have failed to submit.
Yeah, we failed to be good leaders.
Yeah.
And We can explain a million things, that I always say that, an explanation for something is not a justification for it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can explain why many things are happening in society, but it doesn't justify it, right?
Yeah.
And so we can sit here and explain it as much as we can, but we know what the goal is. We know where we want to be as a family. We know where we want to be as a society, as citizens of God's kingdom. We know. We know what we desire. But it's hard, man. It gets hard. It's hard to be a good leader. It's hard for a woman to submit to non-leadership. It's hard. Like, I get it, it's hard. But on the other side of that coin, it's like, but you have to do it. You have to keep pursuing it. Not just the submission part, gents. We have to keep pursuing being great leaders. No matter what the circumstance, no matter how disrespected you feel, no matter how unseen you feel, no matter how much the world is depriving you of opportunities, no matter how much you're struggling to self-actualize, no matter how much you didn't grow up with a father that showed you great leadership.
Yeah.
We have to keep on, like keep at it,
Yeah.
no matter what, because that's your mandate. You have to do it, and let's stop putting the reasons. My wife and I, because we are human and we're okay with our humanness, right? We'll say, oh, no, I did this because, right? Because it's relatable. You can be like, yeah, that makes sense. But at the end of the day, all of that doesn't really count. Not really. Because submit, lead.
Yeah. I think, my love, as much as also it doesn't count, it just helps us understand our own behavior.
Right.
Because, we don't want to sit here and think, I would feel like rubbish if I just thought that I'm just out to get you. So it helps me to try and understand, why am I behaving in this way? And not to make excuses for it, but to be like, okay, how do we move forward? How do I correct my behavior? Where could this have started? Because even when you go to counseling, you go back to your childhood even to try and see what could have been the root of my behavior, right? And I think just for me, in closing, I've loved everything that you said about, trusting God. If you don't trust God, it's going to be very difficult to submit to your partner. And I love this verse that says, trust the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And I think that sometimes we try to figure things out, and God is just like, trust. And for me, on my faith journey, I remember I was having this, I wrote on my status that I've been really struggling with surrendering. And when I think about struggling with surrender, I said to you, I was like, I think I've grown a bit cynical. I've grown a bit cynical because sometimes things just don't happen. It's you get let down. But at the end of it all, I know that God always has a plan. I don't always know what it is. And I think I need to get to a point where I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with not knowing, but trusting. And saying, Lord, I don't know, but I trust.
So when I say, baby, we are going there, you're like, I don't know, but
I'm going
there.
Yes.
Tango.
Yes. You know? And I think I've proven it in recently. Where you've said something, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But because I've also seen, because remember also when we trust in God is also based on his track record. We've seen that God comes through for us over and over and over. Even though sometimes our faith, takes a knock, we know that God will do it again, right? And we remind ourselves of that time.
Yeah.
So even for me, I'll remind myself of that time when you said, babe, let's move to that area. And I was like, nah, I don't like 4 ways, so much traffic. And then we moved and I was like, oh, babe, we were supposed to be in this area, right? And I'll definitely work on myself, on pushing back less. I know that I push back a lot. I push back a lot, and because I want things my way.
It's also just habit, babe.
Do you think it's habit?
It's also just a habit. Like I'm telling you, even when we were dating, it was nonsensical things.
But dating was worse.
Fine.
It was ridiculous.
Well, not really.
Okay.
Because when we were dating, it was things that didn't matter.
And also because we didn't have big decisions to make then, maybe.
So it wasn't worse then. It was more frequent then, but things that I didn't really care about.
Okay.
Now it's less, but it's more things that matter. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm like,
big
you know what I'm
decisions.
saying? And I still and I appreciate that, babe. I appreciate you saying, putting your hand up and saying, I'll do better.
Yeah.
And I continue to recognize that I need to do better. And not because I'm taking credit for this. I'm grateful that we are at this place now where I didn't have to like strong arm you and be like, no, why? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That it kind of landed on you, the way that God willed it. And I pray that he continues to help me as a leader, to grow as well and to lead you effectively, to get you to that point where you're like, guys, when Jesus was given the barrels of water and the servants came and Mary said, just do whatever he tells you.
Yeah.
One day my wife is going to be like,
just do whatever he says. Yeah.
Whatever he says, just do it.
But we will get there, ne?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Ne?
We'll get there. But I need to grow into that as well.
And
because it's irresponsible now if you have now put that faith in God and you're like, all right, Lord, and then if I don't manage that.
And you are a weak leader.
Then
you're going to disappoint me again.
Baby, we've been talking for more than an hour.
Oh my goodness,
we've been talking for a long time.
So I feel like this conversation was counseling for us.
Yeah, I think so
that's
too.
why we're just going on and on, because it was really cathartic. And, you know.
So sexy. What was it? No. Say it again.
No. Guys, we love you. Leave me alone. No.
Please, do it for me.
I'll say it off air,
No, babe,
and you'll find it sexy. No.
I want to hear you in my headphones when I'm editing. Just say it,
babe, it was cathartic.
Stop it. Listen. Please remember, like, subscribe, comment, share, turn on that notification bell. Guys, thank you for your comments. Please comment below.
Yeah.
If you are still here, because this was a long conversation.
No, this was a conversation.
If you are
what
still
must
here,
you comment?
Comment submission.
Yeah.
If you're still here.
Or cathartic.
Cathartic. Yes.
Or leadership.
No, cathartic. Because then people aren't going to know. Those that know. Guys, if you're still here, right? Cathartic. I'll put on the screen here.
Yeah.
Right? Cathartic.
If you're still here till the end.
If you're still here till the end, we appreciate. So we know who our day ones. Because when we look at the average watch time, it's not easy, Rosalind. It's not easy, guys. We love you. I feel like we could be here. I could hang out with you guys all the time. One time, too real.
Oh,
you know what it is. Peace and blessings, people. We out.